Imagine standing at your front door, the world outside swallowed by darkness, and hearing a knock at midnight. For most, it would spark fear, hesitation, maybe even suspicion. But for Daniel, a single father worn down by responsibility and haunted by memories, it was different. Because when the knock came, he was already standing outside, waiting, as if his heart had known it was coming. This was no accident, no coincidence. It was fate knocking, in the shape of a woman who would change everything. Daniel's life had become a careful rhythm of survival. His days began with the sound of his daughter Emma's laughter, or sometimes her tears, and ended with the silence of exhaustion. At 32, he had become both mother and father, protector and provider, healer and teacher. 3 years since his wife passed away in a car accident, grief had carved deep lines into his face, though his eyes still softened whenever Emma looked at him. On that cold night, Daniel couldn't sleep. His little girl had finally drifted off, curled with her stuffed rabbit, and yet he found himself restless. The stars glimmered faintly beyond the clouds, but his heart was heavy with unspoken prayers. He stood outside his house, leaning against the porch rail, staring at the road as if waiting for something he couldn't name. And then, it happened. A knock. Sharp. Hesitant. Almost trembling. Daniel turned, already knowing it wasn't danger. The rhythm of that knock carried a kind of desperation that he recognized, because he had felt it himself too many nights alone. When he opened the door, he found her, a young woman, breathless, coat too thin for the freezing air, clutching a bag as if it held all she owned. Her name was Lily. Her eyes darted nervously before meeting his. I'm sorry. I know it's late. But I didn't know where else to go. Her voice cracked, like glass under pressure. Daniel could have closed the door. He could have protected the fragile world he had built for Emma. But something about the way she stood, half broken, half fighting, stirred something in him. You look like you need help, he said softly, stepping aside. Come inside. Inside, the warmth of the living room wrapped around her. She sat on the edge of the couch, fingers trembling around a chipped coffee mug he offered. Silence stretched, filled only by the ticking clock. Finally, Lily whispered, I left. Tonight. I couldn't stay there anymore. She didn't explain everything, but Daniel didn't need the details to see the truth in her eyes, pain, fear, but also courage. She was running from someone, or something, that had taken too much from her already. As the night stretched on, Emma stirred in her sleep, and Daniel checked on her, brushing hair from her tiny face. When he returned, Lily's eyes softened at the sight. You're raising her alone? She asked. Yeah, Daniel replied, his voice low but steady. She's my reason for everything. For the first time, Lily's lips curved into the smallest smile. She's lucky, she whispered. But Daniel only shook his head. No. I'm the lucky one. That night, something shifted. Not trust, not yet, but a fragile thread of connection, two souls carrying scars, finding a moment of safety in each other's presence. The next morning, Emma was the first to meet Lily. Barefoot in her pajamas, the little girl peeked shyly from behind Daniel's leg, clutching her stuffed rabbit. Daddy, who is she? She asked, blinking sleepily. Daniel hesitated, but Lily knelt to Emma's level, her voice gentle. I'm Lily. Just a friend. She extended her hand, but Emma instead slipped her tiny fingers into Lily's. Daniel watched, startled, as if his daughter could sense something he hadn't fully admitted, that Lily wasn't a stranger, they were somehow meant to be here, at this exact time. Days turned into weeks. Lily didn't talk much about her past, but Daniel noticed small things. The way she flinched at sudden noises, the way her eyes scanned the street before stepping outside, the way she held Emma with a tenderness that came from knowing what it meant to crave love. Emma adored her. She'd beg for bedtime stories from Lily, giggle at her silly drawings, and fall asleep with her head in her lap. For Daniel, it was both a comfort and a quiet ache, because he wasn't sure how long Lily would stay. But Lily wasn't just receiving, she was giving. She cooked when Daniel was late from work. She fixed Emma's favorite doll. She made the house feel lighter, warmer, alive again. Slowly, Daniel began to feel something he thought he'd buried with his grief: hope. Yet, healing is never simple. One night, when the three of them were sitting by the fire, Emma asleep on the couch, Lily finally spoke the truth. Tears shimmered as she admitted she had been in an abusive relationship, trapped, silenced, diminished. And leaving hadn't been easy. She feared he might still find her. Daniel's jaw tightened. He had spent years protecting Emma, building a safe world for her. The thought of danger near his daughter terrified him. But when he looked at Lily, he didn't see a threat. He saw a survivor. Someone strong enough to run. Someone brave enough to knock at his door. "Lily," he said, his voice steady but full of emotion, "you're safe here. You and Emma, you're part of this home now." Her eyes widened, tears slipping silently down her cheeks. And in that moment, she believed him, not because of the words, but because of the way he said them. The midnight knock that could have been fear, turned into love, healing, and a second chance at life. Daniel had been waiting, not just outside his house that night, but in his heart, for someone who needed him as much as he needed them. And Lily, once broken, found a home where she was no longer a shadow, but light itself. Because sometimes, the knocks we fear the most aren't threats at all, they're destiny calling. Waiting for us to open the door.